Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Buzzer Beater. I'm Quinn Carey, here with my host, Jake Pritchard, and we're bringing you all the latest news and updates in college basketball. After a crazy NCAA tournament this past March, we are going to kick off our show tonight with our way too early Final Four predictions. And Jake, I'm interested to know who you think is going to make it to this year's Final Four.
Yeah, my predictions on the Final Four this year are actually many that people would expect. Two of them to start out with are Duke and Kentucky. Duke with R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish, Zion Williamson.
Those are some bad boys.
Yeah, 3 5-star recruits right there. For me, that's huge. 3 of the best players in the country last year at the high school level. Kentucky, they have a top class. They have 4 5-star recruits, which are probably even better than Duke's, and could be one of the best classes that they've seen since the Anthony Davis class. So
I think Kentucky's going to be really good.
I think they're the national champions right there. And then one thing that Duke typically never has, or Kentucky never has, is 2 returning sophomores that actually played well last year. You have Quad Green and Nick Richards last year, who played amazingly. So having them come back and having that veteran presence, so to say, is going to be huge for them.
I agree.
My third team is Michigan.
Interesting.
Only reason they went to the Final Four last year. It's just kind of like a, dark horse, kind of throw it in there as a little bit of an exaggeration.
Sure.
Just have a little love for John Beilein.
Wow.
So that's Central New York guy. It's really big for me. Yeah. Charles Matthews is back. He tested the draft waters last year, so that was huge for him. And my one that I think a lot of people are definitely underrating this year is Nevada. So Nevada, coming off a Sweet 16 appearance last year, they had a big season, obviously, and the return of the Martin twins is going to be huge for them, for me, and a couple key transfers in there. So we'll see how that plays out.
Those boys are tough. I like the Nevada pick. I'm a big underdog guy, so gotcha. I always appreciate that. The first team that I'm sold on this year is Gonzaga. I think Mark Few always just sort of every 3-4 years he gets these 4 and 5-star recruits coming in as freshmen, and they sort of work their way up over their time there, and they get ready to go for a national championship. I'm a big fan of Gonzaga this year. I have Duke going. I think their big thing is going to be whether or not they're willing to play defense. But if they do, they have all the talent in the world. 3 5-star recruits or whatever that number is. I think they're going to be fantastic, well coached as always, and they also have a little bit of depth off the bench from guys returning. My next pick is Kansas. I think they're going to be loaded. I think Kansas has sort of been knocking on the door for a couple years, and they've been waiting to make their mark, and they've had some disappointments, some early exits that they just shouldn't have had in the past. I think this team, with their size inside and their length on the perimeter defensively, I think they're going to be poised to make a deep run.
Definitely top 3 class there in Kansas.
Yeah, and then my 4th team that I think is a little bit of a surprise, probably to some, but I don't think it should be, is going to be the Villanova Wildcats. I know you lose, 5 out of the top 33 draft picks. You lose your starters and all that. But, I just think until teams out there can prove that you can consistently beat Villanova in the tournament and upset them and take them off their throne, I think you have to put them in there. And so I'm a big Jay Wright fan. I think he's going to lead his guys. They're going to be well coached. They're going to shoot the ball, and they're going to be disciplined, and they're going to be tough to beat.
So the national champions are going back to the Final Four for you.
That's what I think. I think I'm predicting a Villanova-Gonzaga championship with Gonzaga coming out on top with Killian Tilly. He's an All-American candidate, and I think he's going to be a tough guy to stop in Mark Few's system.
I'll go Kentucky, Nevada, but I don't think it's going to be a very interesting NCAA championship. I think Kentucky will. I think they're going to slaughter a lot of teams in front of them for sure.
Much
Kentucky's
like
going to be huge.
Yeah, much like the first Villanova championship. The second against Michigan this year.
Oh yeah.
Where they took down Michigan, but I think it was a 15-point margin.
Yeah.
Really was not a close game. So we'll see if we can have that again. Crazy upsets last year in the tournament. Loyola Chicago. Buffalo upsetting Arizona, who many had going to the Final Four.
UMBC, obviously.
UMBC. Shout out to the Retrievers. My brother's an alma mater, so we're big fans. So who do you think the upset teams this year are going to be? I think Loyola Chicago is going to be loaded and ready to go back.
Yeah. Loyola Chicago, they have a pretty good recruiting class, which usually coming after one season isn't something you see very often because you only have one season to get these guys in there and to get them recruited. So that's actually different to see for once. But yeah, their recruiting class is actually pretty stacked for the amount of time they had to get those guys in there. So I could definitely see them. I could see a couple of the ACC teams making some noise. A lot of people have Notre Dame underrated and missing the tournament, but I feel Notre Dame is definitely a team to be reckoned with, as they usually are. So obviously losing Bonzi Colson doesn't help, but I think Notre Dame could kind of come out of nowhere and surprise people.
Yeah, I think another team that could be like that, it's in a major conference but hasn't been very relevant recently, is Arizona State. Bobby Hurley done a great job with those guys. He's brought in some transfers from Buffalo when he was there, and he's brought in some really high major guys and they should be a team that defends the perimeter and gets out and scores quick fast, and they might cause a lot of problems there in the Pac-12 when I think the Pac-12 is going to have a down year this year.
I think Arizona could kind of surprise a lot of people, and I think for sure the Washington Huskies. I'm big on them because of Mike Hopkins from Syracuse, obviously, but Washington's recruiting class is very good this year, so I could really see them coming out of nowhere and kind of surprising people.
Yeah, and I think some more lower majors, I think you got to have one that I think is going to be a surprise is joining the Atlantic Sun is Liberty University. Liberty has had some big-time players and some big-time seasons in the past. They're entering the ASUN, who historically is not a great conference, but they've had the Florida Gulf Coast upsets. They had Mercer when Mercer upset Duke that one year. So I think you gotta be on the watch for them and see what they can do, because you can't count these teams out.
Yeah, and I think obviously the University of Buffalo, who upsetted Arizona last year, I think they'll definitely come back to win the MAC again. But there's definitely going to be a lot of good teams this year. A lot of teams that'll kind of come out of nowhere and surprise some people. I think Kentucky and Duke are going to kind of be like the headliners, so to say. But I don't think it's going to be very much different from last year, so to say. I think there'll be a lot of upsets in the tournament, like there was last year. So I think anything can kind of happen, obviously, in March. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, to your point there, I think mid-major college basketball and college basketball as a whole is at a great spot. I think you're seeing low major and historically low major and mid-major teams really coming out and showing that we have high major caliber players and just really good coaching and good players. And so I think it's in a great spot. I think we're going to see a lot of upsets. It's going to be a tough bracket to predict. And then Jake, I'm interested. Who do you think the one standout player, going for the Wooden Award, would be? Who do you think the top players and maybe the top coach of the year is going to be for the NCAA?
I think coach of the year, I think it's going to be Calipari. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys were very close to, if not undefeated. I would be very surprised to see these guys not as a one seed come March, obviously. For my Wooden player, I don't know. That's tough to call right now.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to go with Cam Reddish from Duke. I think a freshman. I think he's going to come out of nowhere. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. I know R.J. Barrett and Zion Williamson in the media are definitely seen as better than those two. I think that Cam Reddish is definitely going to surprise a lot of people, though.
Interesting. I also think that you got to have R.J. Barrett, Cam Reddish, probably even Zion Williamson, all in that conversation, all at Duke, which is, again, a stacked team.
I think Cam Reddish is going to be the best player out of three of them. I think I don't know.
Lowest ranked, if I'm not mistaken, the lowest ranked of the three.
He's third in the top 100.
Right,
so, I mean,
not a bad place to be.
Exactly.
For a kid like that.
Especially when your two teammates are 1 and 2. So.
Yeah. I think the guy that probably is going to go under the radar because they don't get a lot of national attention is going to be Killian Tilly from Gonzaga. I think he's poised with their system. I think they're going to be atop the West Coast Conference. And I just think his interior presence on defense and his ability to change the game inside, offensively and defensively, I think he's going to be a guy that could put up a lot of numbers on a Gonzaga team that could very well go undefeated.
Can't disagree with that one.
So that's going to take us to our first commercial break. Coming up after the break, we have some injury reports around college basketball, along with a heartwarming story about Andrew Jones, the guard from Texas. He's coming back. Really an awesome story to hear about his recovery. We'll have that coming up after the break for you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. And anything else you have to add, Jake?
We'll see you soon.
Secondly, whenever there's bad weather, who would you turn to?
I'd turn to Storm Team 10.
No, but you've got to say it like this. Storm Team 10. Say it with me. Storm Team 10.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up?
Oh, we finally bought a place.
Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on...
Was it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Hello and welcome back to the Buzzer Beater. Again, I'm Quinn Carey, and we're going to dive into a couple sad stories, followed by a great story about Andrew Jones from Texas on his recovery. But first, a 20-year-old Wade Sims of the LSU men's basketball team was shot and killed in Baton Rouge last week. Sims was a pivotal member of his team as well as his hometown Baton Rouge community. He did a lot of give back to the community. They loved having him there. And nothing but good reports. He would go back and play with the neighborhood kids, and he'd work the camps at LSU, and he was a very notable member of their community there in Baton Rouge. And Wade will be remembered for his kindness and impact on those around him, as well for his abilities on the court, which we all knew were great. But it's tragic to lose someone so young, and particularly someone so passionate and driven for what he does.
It's always sad to see somebody, obviously pass away, but at the age of 20 years old, at the prime time of his life, this upcoming season, they had high expectations out of him, and he was playing well last year. So definitely sad to see. LSU, our thoughts are obviously with them. Very sad to see. Another sad story. UCLA has suffered what could be the biggest blow to their upcoming season thus far. Sharif O'Neal, four-star recruit and son of legendary Shaquille O'Neal, will miss the entire 2018 and 19 season. After telling team officials that he felt funny during a summer workout, doctors evaluated him and later came across a heart ailment that will sideline O'Neal for the entire upcoming season. So, obviously, Sharif, he was a four-star recruit, was on his way to Arizona originally, backed out after the whole DeAndre Ayton scandal. He was definitely set off by that, as a lot of recruits were. So it's definitely sad to see that he won't play for this entire year, possibly next year too. They said there's definitely no timetable for his return. There's no way to tell. So another great talent that's not necessarily gone, but gone for this year.
Yeah, you hate to see this too, because as you were touching on there, Sharif's such a great kid, and again, he heard about the scandals that were being rumored at Arizona, and he immediately got himself out of there. He didn't want to have anything like that, any corruption. And obviously his dad was a great player and a great person. So I think he raised his son really well, and so it's just sad for anyone to be sidelined like this. However, thank God that they were able to find this out early before maybe he was playing and something fatal happened. He's expressed that he's very thankful to be living and that they're going to be able to cure this and hopefully get him back on the court.
LSU had UCLA had big expectations this year for him, and they could still be a great team, but it's definitely sad to see him be out of basketball, obviously, for the first time in his life. He's never suffered a major injury, so this will be hard for him, I'm sure. But I'm sure he'll come back from it. Be interesting to see how he does next year. So
yeah, a big blow to UCLA, and also obviously a big blow to Shaquille O'Neal's family and Sharif O'Neal
just college
himself.
basketball in general. Yeah,
it's tough to see a talent like that go. But moving on, a little bit more uplifting news. Texas guard Andrew Jones will make his return to the Longhorns backcourt this season. Jones was diagnosed with acute leukemia on January 10th, but has made a shocking recovery since he was cured of the cancer in February. Here is Jones at the PK 80 tournament in November of 2017, hitting the game-tying shot against the favored Gonzaga.
Home run, throws it away to tie it. Goes! Unbelievable! Texas ties it.
And as they're evidenced by that clip, clearly Jones brings an energy to his team on and off the court, and he has helped Texas put their program back on the map that they've done the last 2 years. And they're opening up their season, actually, on November 9th against Arkansas. And I wouldn't be surprised with this kid's resiliency if he's ready to go by that start date. Again, it was released from the hospital in February and has made a shocking recovery since then and the months following. And an awesome story to hear.
People are definitely expecting him to be back. Obviously, after the 2 stories we just shared with you about Sharif and LSU, it's very sad to see. So it's definitely nice to see something good finally happening in terms of at Texas. It's good to see. I'm happy to see him back on the court. I think this year he'll definitely tear it up. He'll be ready to go come the season starts. So
yeah, and shout out to the Longhorns football team who got probably a program-altering win this weekend against Oklahoma. I think the Texas sports are just in a good spot with Jones coming back and Shaka Smart coaching the basketball team. I think they're going to make great strides in the upcoming years, and clearly the football team is already doing so with their upset against Oklahoma. So I think Texas sports is going to be on the map for a long time, and it's great to have Andrew Jones back in that mix.
It'll be nice to see him back. They obviously do play in a tough conference against some tough teams, but to see Texas just back on the map and something positive happening in the sport outside of the season is definitely nice to see. You don't see it all too often. Right. Obviously, with some tragedies happening is definitely sad. So it'll be good to see him back.
Yeah. So, again, awesome to have Andrew Jones back on the Texas sideline. We're expecting a lot out of him coming forward. Shaka Smart, I think that team is poised to really surprise some teams. They're going to be a team that's hard-nosed. They defend well.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be a tough out. Andrew Jones is going to be a huge energy boost to them on and off the court. And so I think they're going to be poised for, again, another big season. And coming up after the break, we're going to talk about our local teams in Syracuse, Lemoyne, and Oswego. All righty. How long is this one going to be? 6 minutes?
How long is this break? 6 minutes.
All right. We only have like one more segment.
My name is Gina Iliev. I am the Health Equity Coalition's coordinator at Planned Parenthood here in Central and Western New York. I'm also Executive Masters in Public Administration here at the Maxwell School, Syracuse University. In the last couple years, you've seen a number of movements, and I'm sure you've seen all the hashtags that go along with it. I think it's really important to talk about what those hashtags mean, and then once we garner that power through those media avenues, how do we really activate people on the ground and in real life? I'm really looking forward to learning from the other panelists too what they do. I work for a local nonprofit, and some of the other panelists are from very big corporations, and I'm really interested in how they navigate those spaces. What do those connections look like?
and welcome back to the Buzzer Beater. Again, I'm Quinn Carey, and in local college basketball, we are going to start off our segment talking about Syracuse University, led by Jim Boeheim. Been there forever, a historic coach. Obviously, his resume speaks for itself. He's always going to have this team poised. Finished 23-14 sort of early on. Started not where they were supposed to be, and they weren't meeting expectations, but as the season went on, they were started to get rolling, and come tournament time, they were clicking, and they made the Elite Eight, which is a big jump from where they were at the end of the season, potentially not even making the tournament. So Syracuse, they're looking to come back this year with Frank Howard, Tyus Battle, O'Shea Brissett, all returning. You know, those guys were top 5 in the ACC in minutes per game, the 3 of them. So to return those 3 starters is going to be huge to help carry the Syracuse load in a stacked ACC.
Yeah, absolutely. To get guys back who are averaging, 39 and a half minutes last year is going to be huge. Frank Howard, who has been playing a lot over the summer in summer leagues, he's looked great. Who's coming back from last year, who really just was, honestly, his freshman and sophomore year was terrible. His junior year, he finally kind of breaks out, and now his senior year, he's looking to make a good run. Tyus Battle, who tested the draft waters last year, who is going to be probably Syracuse's best player again. O'Shea Brissett was a huge surprise last year, so it's definitely exciting to see where this team can go.
Definitely, and again, they're going to be long. They're going to defend hard, and maybe if they can get a little bit of perimeter shooting and a little bit more interior game than they had last year, I think they could be poised to go right back to the tournament and make a similar run as they did last year.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think also looking at, hometown hoops, so to say, Lemoyne College, they're going to have probably another big year after going to the Elite Eight last year in Division II for one of the first times. They had probably their best season ever at Lemoyne. John Beeline, obviously, who was coached there before, his son, Pat, is there now. Lemoyne, they're returning about 3 players, which is not something you see every day. No. If they have 9 transfers, they graduated 9 guys, that's definitely something different and not something you see every day. Tyler Sullivan, someone who's coming from Onondaga Community College, he's a freshman this year. Freshman to Lemoyne, junior transfer, and he was an All-American at OCC. Wow. Malik Gardner, he's obviously very good. He comes from downstate. He's a top player. Jordan Rowland, he is another transfer too. So it'll be interesting to see how this team meshes together and how they play together. And having a new assistant coach in Brett Irvin, a guy who was there in the past a couple years ago, he was there. So it'll be interesting to see how they play together. Jimmy Langhurst, who was their longtime assistant, he's now gone to George Mason. So he made the D1 jump, which is obviously great for him. So it'll be interesting to see how Lemoyne does this year.
Well, what I love for Lemoyne is that you had Pat Beeline, again, son of the legendary coach John Beeline, doing a great job there with that program. In the few years he's been there, he's brought in players that have just changed the culture of that program. Absolutely. He's really made it something of his own. And he was actually the front runner for the Siena College, the Division I job over there in Albany, and he turned it down. He wanted to stay in Lemoyne. He thought that he wanted to be there. He liked the area. He liked his guys, and he didn't want to go anywhere. He's poised to make a few more NCAA runs and hopefully get back to the Elite Eight and Final Four at the Division II level before he ever considers a jump to a higher level.
He's definitely brought a winning culture to Lemoyne, which is something they haven't seen since his father was there. I mean, Lemoyne's always been that average team, but to get back to the NCAA tournament for them is absolutely huge.
Yeah, definitely. So should be a big year from the Dolphins, and again, Elite Eight appearance last year. That Syracuse area between SU and Lemoyne, both in the Elite Eight of their NCAA tournaments. That's great for the area. Sure. The fans love it. There's just a buzz in the city of Syracuse during basketball season.
Yep. So moving on, obviously we have our hometown SUNY Oswego basketball team. Yep. The team this year is returning several players. They did lose 4 seniors. And last year started the season with 20 guys and finished with 10 healthy bodies. So for this year, they're going to be starting with 16 that we know of. They have 2 transfers, Joe Sullivan from Assumption. We have our very own Quinn Carey here from Geneseo. So, Quinn, you averaged 16 points at Geneseo last year. How excited are you for this year's team?
I'm really excited. I think we have a lot of guys that can make plays and are going to really feed off each other and play really well. So I'm incredibly excited to be a part of this. Coming from my last year from Geneseo, I know the culture that Coach Leone has created here, and the guys are great about welcoming me and getting me in on the workout routines. So I couldn't be happier. I'm really excited. Hopefully we're poised for a great run. And again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. I'm Quinn Carey with Jake Pritchard, and we are the Buzzer Beater. We're out of here. Thanks for watching.
We both missed.
Have a great night. Both missed. Not clutch.
And then she was like, yeah, and I was like, no. And then she was like, yeah, and I was like, yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, what?
Ryan just texted me.
Oh my god, what did he say?
Netflix and chill?
Netflix and chill, that's like so last year. It's all about WTOP movies on demand and chill.
You are so right.
Yo, bro, what's wrong?
Yo, bro. My girl left me, bro.
But why?
Because I don't watch WTOP 10 movies on demand.
This new dad is picturing a tree house in the sky, but he's ignoring the instructions. Good luck, big guy. His kids know that he's building without a clue. Never been so good with nails and glue. Now we're trapped inside a box. I hope mom knows what to do. Mom! See, you don't have to be perfect to be the perfect parent.
Thousands of siblings in foster care will take you just as you are.
Hey, it's Ava, and this is Tess from Do Your Selfie, where we recreate the hottest looks from today's biggest music videos.
After cleaning out our closet, we have a lot of clothes we don't wear anymore.
Like this old pile of t-shirts.
It's not garbage, it's actually a new rug.
And to make it, all you need to do is cut, tie, and glue.
Cut the t-shirt into strips.
Tie the strips into knots.
And glue the knots to the bath mat. I love it. Give your garbage another life.
And recycle.
Is How Are You Precious okay?
Take out the precious. It's way too cheesy.
Okay, yeah.
Just go,
sure.
hey, how are you?
Nope.
How's your day?
Yeah.
Don't be cheesy.
Yeah, I figured.
So, what'd she say?
She's still typing. I'm not sure. She never takes this long.
I wouldn't worry about it. Give it a few minutes.
Okay.
Hey, bud. Hey.
What?
What are you doing October 17th at 2 p.m.?
I don't know. What are you guys doing?
Funny you should ask, because we're actually watching the Media Summit Red Carpet Show at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, October 17th on WTOP 10.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.